For this session, we will talk about the Whois database and MyAPNIC. And today is June 15th, 2016. It is 3 p.m. in Brisbane. And first, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jessica, and I am a training officer in APNIC, and my specialists are routing switching, MPLS, and IPv6 QoS. If you have any questions, you can send an email to me. And for this session, if you have any questions, you can directly type in the chat box, and I will try to answer the questions as soon as possible. After this part, I will share the survey link with you and about also the handouts on the FTP server. Okay, we will start this session. For this session, you can see, first we will talk about what is the APNIC database. APNIC, Asia Pacific Network Information Center, we are registering the information about the numbers, the internet numbers, IP address, and its numbers, and these information are registered, should be registered on our database. So we will talk about what is the APNIC database. And for the resource registration, so any members, if you have obtained the resources, the numbers from APNIC, you are responsible to register the resources on our database. And later we can see for this database, okay, maybe we'll see we have registered this information. So how can we use this information? The Whois database will be open to all our users, and then without username or password, you can access the Whois website, and you can query the information. So we have the Whois object types. We will introduce what are the informations included in the Whois database. Whois database, you don't need to use the username and password. And also the person and the role objects. So for the object types, we will talk about the person, role objects, and maintainer protections. So maintainers, this is for the protection to protect the safety of your account of MyAPNIC. And then the other one, the MyAPNIC, this one is used for our APNIC members. So if you are in the Asia Pacific region and you want to apply some IP addresses, IPv4, IPv6, or maybe the AS numbers, and then you should be a member of APNIC. And after you become a member, then you can use the MyAPNIC, this software. And this is the web portal, and go to the website, you can maintain your resources. And in this part, we will introduce the MyAPNIC features to show you how to use the MyAPNIC about the web portal. These are the two parts of this session. One is about Whois database. One is about the MyAPNIC. If you have any questions, you can directly type in the chat box. And so, what is the APNIC database? APNIC database, this one is to maintain the information operated by the internet registries. So IRM, for example, IRM or RIPE NCC from different other regions, the RIR, they also have the database, they maintain the database. But we would mirror the information. So in our Whois database, you can also query the information distributed by IRM or RIPE NCC or by APNIC, the other regions. So you can query the world's information. And what are the informations? What are the resources? The IP addresses, IPv4, IPv6 addresses, the AS numbers, and the reverse DNS delegations. So for each IP block, and what are the name servers, we need to record this information. And on the Whois database, and you can also register the routing information, routing policies, IRM. Then for these resources, we have the information. What we really want to get, we want to match to each organizations. What does this mean? For example, you can see for one company, for our engineer, we searched, okay, this IP address, why this IP segment distributed to my routing table? And he wants to know who owns this block. and then he can go to the database to search, okay, which company, which organization is maintaining this resource. So your contact information should be recorded in the database. So you own this resource, and then you need to put the contact information, which engineers they are maintaining these resources, and then the contact information should be added here. And for the authorization for updating this information, so every member, if you are owning some information, some resources, then if your contact information should be updated. For example, one engineer has left, and then another engineer will take over his work, and you need to update the information in the MyAPNIC database and public to the others. Then they can see, okay, so if we want to contact some person, we will find the right person. So this is very important to keep our database updated. And the network abuse handling, and here is for you need to register at the incident response team the contact information. Maybe the person's, this is based on your organization. Maybe you will say, whether should I put my engineer's name or put the IRT team. For some companies, they have the IRT team, so you will put the IRT team. And for some companies, maybe the engineer will be both responsible for the network and also for the IRT response team. So this is up to you, but what we want, you put the right information, contact information on this one. This is for the APNIC database, and are mainly about the resources and numbers. So resource registration, and for each member should be responsible to register the resource in the APNIC database. Every member should be responsible. So if you have any changes in your contacts, and please update. But otherwise, we would also contact you, because some person will say, okay, this person I cannot contact. This number is unreachable or something. And then they will also contact APNIC help desk, and then we will also contact you whether you put the right number on the website, in the database. And when you receive the new resources, and then you also need to update. You also need to write in the MyAPNIC database. And so when people want to say, okay, this prefix has been learned in my routing table, I want to know which organization own this information. And the other one is the sub-allocate or assigned. For example, if you have assigned some IP addresses to your customer, we would also recommend you put it in the database. Maybe you don't want to publish this information, you can put it in the private part. And the other users, they cannot search the detailed sub-contents. But this we can see this information, how your resources has been used. Because when you want to apply the new resource, we want to know whether your resources has been distributed or not. We will not allow the reservation for IPv4, especially for IPv4, because we only need to guarantee, okay, for 80% of your IPv4 addresses has been used, then we will distribute more IP addresses based on your request. But nowadays we are in the last /8 policy. So in the last /8, and you can only get a /22 block. Okay, for the resource registration, you need to update the information. And for the Whois object, this information, these are the objects. So maybe you will say, where can I find this information? You can go to the Whois APNIC Whois search, or maybe you directly type the Whois in the on your web browser. You can see Whois, and then you can type some IP addresses, and you can see some information displayed. Okay, I will go back to our table, and I would explain each item. So for each resource, we will have some object types. And these object types, you don't need to consider these are some complicated information. These are just like, okay, for some contact information. We add some name. We give him some name. So person. So which person will be the contact person for this block of IP address? So contact person, maybe the technical contact person, the technical or administrative contacts, and you can add this information for one resource. And this is for person. And the role, okay, for this IP block, and maybe one group of person are responsible. So a role can be represented like a team, okay, a technical team, and or maybe also the administrative team. And one team under one role, there would be multiple persons. And okay, then this group of the person, they are responsible for this resource. This is based on organization, but nowadays we will recommend you to use the role object, compare with person. Later I would explain. Okay, so these are the contact name. This person, we have some contact information, for example, email, the telephone number, and the address, and this information. And for the INET number, these represent the IPv4 address space. So for example, 103.200.100.0/ for which block? This block we will consider as a one INET number, IPv4 block. So you have all one block, and the object is INET number. And INET6 number, this is one block of the IPv6 addresses. So for this IPv6 address is INET6 number. We just call this one. And the other one is the autonomous number. So for the AS numbers maybe is 4-byte AS number or 2-byte AS number. This information will be also registered under your MyAPNIC, and the people can search. Okay, for this AS number, maybe the 43128 for this AS number is owned by which company, and we can search this information and maintained by which role, by which person, and we can find them. And the domain is for the reverse DNS delegation. So related to some person, you can find some domain information. And the route and the route 6, these are optional. Maybe some company, they will register their route, the IPv4 route or maybe IPv6 route into the internet routing mesh. And maybe some people, they don't want to add this information. This is optional. But normally the IPv4, IPv6, these are mandatory. Most of the members, they would own the IPv4 blocks. And the maintainer, this object we would explain later, use an example, and we can see the function is used to protect the security of your user account for the MyAPNIC. So other people, they cannot change your items. They cannot change the objects, the information under your IPv4 address, IPv6 address. Only they have this maintainer. Only they are authorized. Then they can change the objects. And IRT is for the incidents for the response team. So you need to put which team, which contact person or role will be responsible to. If there is some security issues, people will contact the IRT team. So we need to put this information. These are just some many information in the Whois database. And the Whois database, this is a global database. So I mentioned the MyAPNIC. For example, APNIC is maintaining the Asia Pacific date, and RIPE-NCC is maintaining the European date, and IRM is maintaining the information from America side. And then we will put them together to generate the Whois database. So if you directly go to the Whois website, and then you can query all the information. And even in APNIC Whois website, you can also query all the information. Okay, and the objects for new members. Normally for one new member, we want to apply some resource from APNIC. And if you are not a member for the first allocation or assignment, and then APNIC will ask you to fill in some table, and then you need to add your information, and we will give you create the following objects for you, the role objects. So for this, maybe you apply the IPv4 address. For this IPv4 address, who are maintaining this information, the role object, which group? You need to put the contact information. And if you have applied the autonomous number, and then we will have create the autonomous number object. And the maintainer object, this is mandatory. This is mandatory because this is used to protect your resource, and your information will not be changed by the other persons. And the IRT objects, all these except the IPv4 block, which block we will distribute to you, or the auto number objects or the maintainer we will generate automatically by our system, and the other role and ART, the contact information should be filled in by yourself. You need to put this information. Okay, information is taken from your application. So in your application form, you need to put the information. Who will be the role objects? Who will be the contact person? And IRT team, who will be this contact person? Okay. And here you can see there is an allocation and assignment. So when you come to APNIC to apply some resource, we will, based on your purpose for this resource, we will distinguish to be the allocation and the assignment. Allocation, that means you apply this resource, this IP block is for the further distribution. Okay, so I will write it down. Allocation is the purpose for this block of IP address is for further distribution. This is for allocation. And maybe you will say, what does this mean? Allocation, that means you apply this block of address is for the customers. Customer 1 get one part, customer 2 get another part, customer 3 get another part for the further distribution. This is when you apply the allocation. So another one, assignment. So what is assignment? Assignment for your own infrastructure use. For your own infrastructure use. That means for your own infrastructure. So I apply this resource is for my own network, not for the further distribution, for my own network. So when you want to apply the resource, we will ask the purpose. Okay, you just know this part, and this is based on different policies for allocation or assignment. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. And here is one portal for the APNIC Whois search. And you can type the blocks. You can type the network blocks and maybe the contact person's name and maybe the contact person's email and the network and AS number. All this related information you can put it in the Whois search, and you can find the information. Related information will be displayed. And here we have some hints. When you search some block, and by default will give you the first level less specific. For example, if I'm searching some /24, and then on this one, he will give me some the first level specific, the /22. Maybe the /22 will be displayed. Less specific means a larger range. So we can see if I am searching 1/20, okay, I will write it as /22. And if you go to the first level, less specific, we'll go to a smaller range, maybe a /21 or maybe a /16. This is only for the first level specific. And if you choose the hints, the capital L, and then all less specific. So maybe you will say, what is the all less specific. This will go to 0000, go to the 000 to 255, 255, 255, 255. Will go to the IAPNIC block, the largest block. So okay, for this situation, the /22 will go to maybe we'll show you /21, /16, /8, and then go to the /0, the largest block. So all the blocks will be displayed for under this region 103, 103, 25, 103. So all the and until 000 to 255, 255. You can test the all less specific. By default will be the first level less specific. And after you search in this part, you can find the relevant to the contact information. And the more specific will go to the more detailed parts. And for example, the slash, for example, if I search a /16, and then it will maybe go to a /22. That means I am searching a /16. He will go to more specific a /22, or maybe a /20, the one level, first level more specific. And if you want to go to the more specific, you can click the capital M. But normally for the more specific parts, will not show you the information. Most of the conditions, even you are searching the very large, maybe you are searching a large block. This is another condition. So if for a /22 or /20, we will normally you cannot find the more specific parts because even the members, they have distributed the more specific parts to his customer, but these parts are hidden, are invisible. That means he has the rights to hide this information as the private. So normally for the less specific, you can find more information, but for the more specific, because of the privacy, and we cannot see so many detailed information. But for maybe later I will explain which range should be public, which range can be the private. And for the -X is exact match only. And for the associated reverse domain, for this block, and what is the reverse domain, the name server, some information. Okay, so here is about the APNIC Whois search, and you can search this information. You can not only the blocks, and also for the other attributes, and you can also search the name and the email and the telephone of the engineers. All these informations can be searched in the Whois database. Okay, and okay, I want to repeat one thing. For the Whois database, you don't need the username or password. Anyone can search this information because the IP addresses are all our resources. These are public for us to better to maintain the network, the internet. So you can go to the Whois search without username or password. And using the Whois, and here we can see this is the one. We can suppose this is one resource. This is one resource, IPv6, IPv4 block, and maintain the person and the maintainer. And this is the contact person. For one contact person, and we will not use the name directly under this resource. We will have some ID. We will have some ID to represent this person. The KX, we call this is a nick handle. We call this is a nick handle. Just to simplify, to represent these people. The first name, the first letter of the first name, last letter of the last name, and then the sequence number, and the -AP Asia Pacific. And so use this method, we can generate a nick handle for one person. And when you this one can be linked on the Whois database. When you click this nick handle, you can find this person and detailed information. This detailed information are still on the Whois database. So for one IPv4 block, each block, and then we will add the contact person and the maintainer. the maintainer is for the data protection. Only when one user in the MyAPNIC, he has this maintainer in his account, and then he can change the resource. He can change some update. For example, he wants to change the contact person to be another person. Only when he has the maintainer under his account. Okay, this is for the Whois database. And then we are going to introduce some objects and some you can see the INET number, IPv4 and IPv6 objects. We can see this is one example of the IPv6 object. You can see this is the IPv6 block. We call this is INET 6 number and used for one network. Okay, this is the network of one company. And the description, we can see IPv6 address block for ABC Internet, and the country from Singapore, and the admin C. You can see what is the admin C, and this is the NIC handle. This is the NIC handle, and the technical contact person, administrative contact person, and technical contact person. We are putting the same NIC handle here. So when you click this NIC handle on the website on the Whois database, you can find the detailed contact information of this person. And maintained by, that means we have this maintainer under our name, and then we can change the information. Maintained lower. This is for the after the further distribution, we will add the user's maintained information. He added the same one in this example. That is for the after the further distribution. And the maintained routes. It means this user he has, for this block, we have registered the routes, the IP routes in the MyAPNIC database. And the maintained routes, this is optional. If you have registered the routes in the MyAPNIC, and we will have this, you will have this entry. If you didn't, and then you don't have this entry. Okay, and then maintain the IRT. So IRT, if you click this one, you can find the contact information. And this is the status, is the allocated non-portable. Allocated is for the further distribution. So this resource is for the further distribution. So he will have the maintained lower. And the non-portable, that means he could not, is only used when he get this part from his upstream, and this block, when he change the upstream, he should change the IP addresses. So the portable, that means this block is directly from MyAPNIC, even directly from APNIC, and then if I change my upstream, I change from Telstra to another vendor, another ISP, I can still use this block. But non-portable, that means if I change upstream, I need to change the IP addresses. So this is the non-portable, for allocated for the further distribution and changed by the APNIC, okay, source from APNIC. And the person object. So NIC handle, here is for the NIC handle. We will create the NIC handle for different users, and based on the name and the sequence and -AP. And this NIC handle is a unique ID for a person or a role. So maybe it's a person, represent one person and related to his information. Maybe a role information. A role can be a group of persons. Under this role, you can put multiple users, multiple persons. So here, this is one person object. So for this person, this is his name, and then we can get the NIC handle. For this person, we have created the NIC handle and maintained by this maintainer. Okay, so only one user has this maintainer under his account. He can change the information of this person object. Okay, and okay, email information, and yeah, this is about one person object. for the role object, this one is for a group of person. But normally we will recommend you to use the role object when you create one object, the admin contact and the technical contact for your resource. Why? Now I will explain. Okay, so here for the role object, you can see for one role, this is the ABC Internet Network team. This is one team. So person is only one person. He will be his information. But for this role object, we will have the admin contact information. This is one person. And the technical contact, you can have multiple admin contact, multiple technical contact, and the nick handle for himself is the ATNTI-AP. So technical contact is another person, so you can have multiple persons under this group. Okay. Then for the compare the person object and the role object, we have this method. We have this difference. If one one engineer is maintaining these resources, and so you will put this person KX17 under this resource. But once this KX17, he will leave this company. So what should we do? And another one, BW101 will replace. So you need to replace for each resource. Replace the contact person. Create a new person and then replace for each one. And we have the batch updated, but you need to change by yourself and then upload the TXT file to change this part. So you need to change for 3 resources. And if you are using role object, then what should you change? If you are using a role object, then you only need to change for the technical contact person to replace to the BW101. But for each resource, you don't need to change. Still keep this group, keep this role object, and that's all. So this will make the change to be easier if you are using a role object. So nowadays we recommend you to create the role object for each resource. This is comparing the person object and the role object. And for the resources, I have mentioned, if you go to the more specific parts, maybe some resources cannot be displayed. Why? Because for some privacy. And here I would show you which resources must visible and which resources is optional. Visible or not is optional. So from IANA, maybe these are not clear. I will write them here. This is from IANA. So from IANA, we'll distribute to different regions. So here, different IR. This is APNIC region. Okay, I will write it here. APNIC region. Range. Okay, IANA give the APNIC or maybe non-APNIC to the other IR. And for APNIC, we will directly go to the customer, go to the members, distribute and allocate to our members. So maybe you directly get from APNIC. This is one way. And maybe we will go to the NIR, And we have, for example, China, we have the CNIC. And for Taiwan, we have the Taiwan NIC, and Japan, we have JPNIC, and for Indonesia, we have the FG. So there are several NIR in APNIC region. So if we go to the NIR, and these parts all should be visible for in MyAPNIC. That means what resources APNIC distributed to his members. This should be visible in the APNIC database. And but for the further distribution, for example, one member, he got the resource, he distribute his customers. So these parts are optional. you can publish this information, or maybe you don't want to publish. These are okay. But continue. For the APNIC to NIR, for example, CNNIC, Taiwan NIC, and they also, these resources also should be visible for in the MyAPNIC, and the people can query this information in Whois database. And the NIR, they will allocate and assign to their customers. This step also should be visible, and only for our members. And then you can determine and whether I want to publish this information or not. And if you didn't publish, then the other ones, they cannot query this information. They can only say, okay, you have one block 1/22 has been distributed to you, but what are the further distribution? We don't know this because you didn't publish this information. Okay, so here is about the visible of the resources. And then for the maintainer, I mentioned that this is used to protect your information and protect objects. And how to protect, and only when one user account under the MyAPNIC, he has this maintainer, and then he can change the information under these objects. Otherwise, he cannot change any information. So you should be very careful, and when you are giving the rights of the maintainer to the other user accounts, and you should be careful. Otherwise, people maybe have the rights to change the information of your resources. Maintainer object, this is under the MyAPNIC, and if you want to query whether you have this one or not. And here, but maintainer, you can also click the link for each resource. And we can see the maintainer, this is the maintainer, maintain SG ABC Internet, and the maintainer for this company, and the admin contact person, admin contact role, and the technical contact role. These are the NIC handle we have introduced. These are the NIC handle for this information. And updated authentication, MD5PW for the authentication. When you add this maintainer for the first time for one MyAPNIC users, you should have the password. And for this maintainer is maintained by this maintainer. They are under the same maintainer. Okay. APNIC HM referral by APNIC hostmaster. Okay, so these are the maintainer object. You can query this information. So if you want to change some objects, you need to check whether you have his maintainer or not under your MyAPNIC account. If you don't have, and then you cannot change the information. Maintain by and maintain the lower. So we can see for the previous part, for the resource, he has the maintain by, and the maintain by is for the protect the ACE object. And maintain the lower is for some resources, is for the sub-assignment, sub-allocation, and then we have the maintain the lower. So we have the two levels of the maintainers. And the maintain the routes. So if you have created the route or route 6 objects, and then you will have the maintain the routes. They are having the same maintainer. So this information we have seen in our resources in the IPv6. Okay, I will go to the IPv6. You can see here we have the maintained by. So if you want to change the information, you should know whether this account has the maintainer. Okay, we will continue. If you have any questions, you can type in the chat box, and you can also use the browser, go to the Whois database and to check some information. These information are very useful. Maintain the objects we have introduced here. And for the maintainer hierarchy diagram, you can see, for example, APNIC will allocate. APNIC has 1/8, and will allocate to one member. and the member will use this block for the further sub-allocation. For example, I sub-allocate to my customer, and then my customer will give this to his end users, And if this block is for the further distribution, okay, we'll give to one company. He is using this block directly. So for these resources, and this part is maintained by APNIC, and this part is allocated by members, and the maintainer by can only be changed by APNIC. And so APNIC will say, okay, this block is maintained by our member, But for the further distribution is maintained by our members. Our members, you will change for example, you have distributed this block, and then you can add, okay, this block is distributed to one company, this block is to another company. You can add this information. But for this step, for this /22 will be created and added by APNIC. And for this information, our members are responsible to change and update this information. Okay, and the authentication and the authorization. These are about for each block, and we have this maintained information. For the Whois IRT, this one, for each, nowadays we know for the internet, there are so many security issues, and if we match some spam and abusing our network, and then we need to find the right person. Okay, so we need to get the IRT team, the incident response team. This team will be responsible, and if we want to contact them, and normally people will use the same information as the technical contact or the admin C contact, but this is based on your organization. If you have the IRT, the IRT team, the separated IRT team, and then you will provide this information. These are very important nowadays for the safety. So here is the one IRT object. We can create also the email and the admin C and the technical contact C. This information, we will strongly recommend you to have the separated IRT team for the incidence issues. Okay, and for the previous part about the Whois database. So Whois database is very useful when you are maintaining the network. You want to know some information of one block and contact this person, and for solving some problems. And our Whois database are from the one part. I mean for Asia Pacific is from the MyAPNIC. So MyAPNIC, this one is for our members. For APNIC members to maintaining his resources. Each member should have the account to log into MyAPNIC. So here is the website, https://myapnic.net. And this year, since February, we just upgrade our MyAPNIC portal, and we changed our page this year. And here you can see, when you get into the MyAPNIC, this web page, you can access to the finance system. So the annual fee, how much is the annual fee, and your invoice, and whether this information you can get from finance system, and the membership and the resource system. So about the resources, what are the resources you have got, and then you can see the information. And for the Whois master, so if you want to change some information described in Whois database, you need to go to MyAPNIC to change your information, but you should have the maintainer and your account. So this is about the MyAPNIC, and we have some servers, and you only need to log into the web portal. Access to that one, to MyAPNIC. First one, normally when you just become the new member, then you can get a corporate contact. Okay, the corporate contact, I want to draw it here. Corporate contacts. Okay, in fact, this is one word. Corporate contacts. So for each member, at least you should have one corporate contact. This is you can consider this is the main responsible people, and for this company, and if we meet any issue with these resources of this company, and then we will contact this corporate contacts. And the corporate contacts, this contact, he has all the rights of the MyAPNIC, and he can access to the MyAPNIC. And for the other non-corporate contacts, for example, some engineers, and they don't need to access to the bill system, and then they only need to maintain some Whois pass. And okay, so you can create the non-corporate contacts for them, and then they can log into and maintain some resources. You can give them rights. So approved by the corporate contacts. So non-corporate contacts will be approved by corporate contacts. Corporate contacts should be created by APNIC. Okay, so here is the registration. Go to the www.myapnic.net, and then you can register MyAPNIC. And because corporate contacts are created by APNIC, and for non-corporate contacts you can request put your information and about which company you are belonging to, the member information you can get from the corporate contacts account. And here, for the safety of your account, nowadays we have the TOTP. Okay, so here is one corporate, this is our profile for one users, and the TOTP, this one is for the authentication, for the safety. We can see the time-based one-time passwords. This TOTP authentication is used for some required for the online voting. If you need to vote for EC or something, and EC, and then you should have pass the TOTP authentication. Otherwise, you don't have the rights. So the TOTP is not required for everyone, but if you want to do these things, and you should pass the TOTP. And the resource certification, for example, the RPKI things, and approve other non-corporate contact certificate requests. So if for the other non-corporate contacts, he wants to pass the certificate request, and then you need to approve. You need to get the TOTP, edit the permissions for non-corporate contacts. So if you want to have these rights, you should set up the TOTP authentication. These days most of the time we are using the TOTP. Okay, and for the TOTP is here when you log in, when you type your username, password, and you want to log in, you click login, and then you will go to the next page. Next page is here, the 6-digit security code. For example, I have installed the authenticator on my phone, or the Google Authenticator, and then matched with this one when I create the TOTP and matched. Then I will get every time when I want to log in, I will based on the security I node from my app on my phone and input it here and authenticate. And this one is not necessary for every user. It's only for the users if you want to access to these functions. Okay, so for the normal users, maybe you don't need to use the TOTP. Okay, so type the security code here, and then you can log in. Okay, before we get the TOTP, before we are using a digital certificate. Digital certificate, this one is like a certificate installed on your web browser, and also for similar functions. But nowadays we will recommend you to use TOTP. And another one, that previous part is about the authentication part, about the TOTP something and the certification. And the other one is administration features. So if you log into your MyAPNIC, if you log into, and then you can find the member details, contact details, and access list, billing history, annual fee calculator, and the referral application for your customer. These are used. These are the administration features. And if you want to get your member details, for example, some people will see, I need to create a new non-corporate contact, but he wants my member account something. So where can you find? You can find the member details and then get your member account information and provide it to them. And then they can apply the non-corporate contact account. And for the resources, I think this page will be used the most often parts, because you need to know, what are the resources I am maintaining. You can see you have the IPv4, IPv6 AS numbers, and the Whois update. So if you want to change some information in the Whois database, and then you will go through this part to update the information. And the reverse DNS delegation resource request form. If you want to request more IPv4, more IPv6 and AS number, you will go here. And the resource transfer. We know nowadays for example, some people, they said, I want to get the IPv4 address, but we are in the last /8 block. And if you have already applied the /22, you cannot get another /22 in our last /8 block. So what can you do? Maybe another member can transfer the IP addresses to you, and we can set up the resource transfer and the return. Maybe you don't use this resource, you will return the resources here. And the resource certification, you can see RPKI. So if you want to log into the RPKI, you should have the TOTP or the digital certificates. These are required. Okay. And for when you want to apply some resources, for example, IPv6. IPv6 for one user, if you haven't applied IPv6 address before, you will have IPv6 one click here. One click, and then you can apply the IPv6 address for your network. This is very easy and a simple step, and you can start to use IPv6 in your network. And for some other, when you manage the resources, you can see here, this is the IPv4, IPv6 and AS number. When you click one resource, you can get this from the summary. We can get one IPv4 blocks and the AS numbers and IPv6 resources. These are these resources. And if you want to request some resources, you can click on IPv4 click, and then you can see we have some policies. Here, click the current policy. You can search what are the policy requests, and then what you should request. You can see the maximum delegation limit and the received resources and available resources. So these are the information we can provide. And the resource transfer return, I mentioned if some people want to transfer the IPv4 to another organization, you can go to this one, the transfer. And for the available utilities, these are some small tools. You can see first three. These are for IPv4, IPv6.